Okay, today we're going to read John chapter 11, beginning of verse 1. Now, a certain man was sick, Lazarus of Bethany, the town of Mary, and her sister Martha. It was that Mary who anointed the Lord with fragrant oil and wiped his feet with her hair, whose brother Lazarus was sick. Therefore the sisters sent to him, saying, Lord, behold, he whom you love is sick. When Jesus heard that, he said, The sickness is not unto death, but for the glory of God, that the Son of God may be glorified through it. Now Jesus loved Martha and her sister and Lazarus. So when he heard that he was sick, he stayed 2 more days in the place where he was. Then after this, he said to the disciples, Let us go to Judea again. The disciples said to him, Rabbi, lately the Jews sought to stone you, and you are going there again? Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in a day? If anyone walks in the day, he does not stumble, because he sees the light of this world. But if anyone walks in the night, he stumbles, because the light is not in him. These things he said, and after that he said to them, Our friend Lazarus sleeps, but I go that I may wake him up. Then the disciples said, Lord, if he sleeps, he will get well. However, Jesus spoke of his death, but they thought that he was speaking about taking a rest in sleep. Then Jesus said to them plainly, Lazarus is dead, and I am glad for your sakes that I was not there, that you may believe. Nevertheless, let us go to him. Then Thomas, who is called the twin, said to his fellow disciples, Let us also go, that we may die with him. So when Jesus came, he found that he had already been in the tomb 4 days. Now Bethany was near Jerusalem, about 2 miles away, and many of the Jews had joined the women around Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went to and met him, but Mary was sitting in the house. Now Martha said to Jesus, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. But even now I know that whatever you ask of God, God will give you. Jesus said to her, Your brother will rise again. Martha said, I know that he will rise again in the resurrection at the last day. Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. He who believes in me, though he may die, he shall live. Whoever lives and believes in me shall never die. Do you believe this? She said to him, Yes, Lord, I believe that you are the Christ, the Son of God, who is to come into the world. And when she had said these things, she went her way and secretly called Mary, her sister, saying, The teacher has come and is calling for you. As soon as she heard that, she arose quickly and came to him. Now Jesus had not yet come into the town, but he was in the place where Martha met him. Then the Jews who were with her in the house and comforting her, when they saw that Mary rose up quickly and went out, followed her, saying, She is going to the tomb to weep there. Then when Mary came where Jesus was and saw him, she fell down at his feet, saying to him, Lord, if you had been here, my brother would not have died. Therefore, when Jesus saw her weeping, and the Jews who came with her weeping, he groaned in the spirit and was troubled. And he said, Where have you laid him? They said to him, Lord, come and see. Jesus wept. Then the Jews said, See how he loved him? And some of them said, Could not this man who opened the eyes of the blind also have kept this man from dying? Then Jesus, again groaning in himself, came to the tomb. It was a cave, and a stone lay against it. Jesus said, Take away the stone. Martha, the sister of him who was dead, said to him, Lord, by this time there is a stench, for he has been dead 4 days. Jesus said to her, Did I not say to you that if you would believe, you would see the glory of God? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead man was lying, and Jesus lifted up his eyes, and said, Father, I thank you that you have heard me, and I know that you always hear me, but because of the people who are standing by, I said this, that they may believe that you sent me. Now, when he had said these things, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. Lazarus, come forth. And he who had died came out bound hand and foot with grave cloths, and his face was wrapped with a cloth. Jesus said to them, Loose him and let him go. Then many of the Jews who had come to Mary and had seen these things, Jesus did believe. Read that verse again. Then many of the Jews who had come to Mary and had seen the things Jesus did believed in him. But some of them went away to the Pharisees and told them the things Jesus did. Then the chief priests and Pharisees gathered a council and said, What shall we do? For this man works many signs. If we let him alone like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come and take away both our place and nation. And one of them, Caiaphas, being a high priest that year, said to them, You know nothing at all, nor do you consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and not that the whole nation should perish. Now this he did. Now this he did not say on his own authority, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Jesus would die for the nation, and not for that nation only, but also that he would gather together in one the children of God who were scattered abroad. Then from that day on they plotted to put him to death. Therefore Jesus no longer walked openly among the Jews, but went from there into the country near the wilderness to a city called Ephraim, and there remained with his disciples. And the Passover of the Jews was near, and many went from the country up to Jerusalem before the Passover to purify themselves. Then they sought Jesus and spoke among themselves as they stood at the temple. What do you think? That he will not come to the feast? Now both the chief priests and Pharisees had given a command that if anyone knew where he was, he should report it, that they may seize him. Well, okay, we've read chapter 11, and we see that the signs that Jesus is doing is, we're told in John chapter 20, verse 30, he was doing these things to prove he was the Son of God. And we see that's what raising Lazarus was about. Many more will believe, and Jesus, you notice, gave Father the credit. He thanked the Father for Lazarus being raised. But they knew that only the Son of God could do that. And so we see this chapter 2 negates and just proves the challenge of Christ doctrine that Don K. Preston invented. It's refuted. This is long before AD 70. They did not have to wait till Christ went away and, as Preston claims, came and resurrected the dead in AD 70 and judged the world. You know, it's just ridiculous. And we also know that the sister of Lazarus said, we know that there will be a resurrection in that day. There's going to be a day that there's going to be a resurrection. And she's speaking of the resurrection we're all looking forward to. And Jesus reminded her, I am the resurrection and the life. Believe in him, and there will be a resurrection for us too. And there will be eternal life. But if you go with the 80-70 doctrine, I mean, it's a toss-up. The resurrection is over with. They claim heaven came to earth, and they don't have any verses to say where the resurrected body goes when we die, we all die. It is appointed for all men to die once, then the judgment. The 80-70 doctrine folks have a stumbling block there. They don't really know how to answer that question, but they say, well, a lot of people don't know how to answer different things, and that's true. There's some things I don't know how to answer, and there's a lot of things in the Bible we may not have a clear answer to. But we do know there's going to be a resurrection one day, and we didn't. These people then, in John chapter 11 and all the way back to chapter 1, they didn't have to wait till AD 70 when Titus destroyed Jerusalem and the temple. That is not the destruction of heaven and earth. It's not. They claim it is, but it's not. It was judgment on Jerusalem, but it was not the destruction of heaven and earth as they teach. Well, that's all I got today, and I'll read John chapter 12 next, and maybe tonight, over the weekend, but it'll be on my YouTube channel. Well, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you next time.